time. How is everybody doing? Please get your libations. Please get ready to have this conversation. We will try not to go too long, but we have to have the conversation. Strange things have been happening, friends. Listen, please hit the like button if you have fallen in here. If you want to donate to the channel, as always, you can go to donatebrown.com, patreon.com/ycarnell, or breakingbrown on the Cash app or whatever. But please hit that like button. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed. And please hit that bell to ensure that you get notifications. Now, for those of you who don't know, the 24th, we will be having a book club. We will be reading Cast, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. We will be saying good stuff if it's good and horrible stuff if it's bad. And we will deconstruct what is in the book and have ourselves a great conversation. That's what we are looking forward to. We're going to have a great book club conversation. It is this month, this time. Always though, it's always on the last Thursday of the month, and that is going to be on the 24th. So September 24th, that's not too long from now. I actually haven't started reading yet. I think I'll start reading tomorrow. And we will have the conversation. So fam, please, if you have not picked up the book, please pick up the book. I would appreciate it, and everybody in the book club would appreciate it. And do not call in if you have not read the book. If you have not read the book, do not dial the line. The line is for people who have read the book and want to have a conversation about what is inside of the book. So that's that. Now fam, let's get to it. I saw some things that I found very interesting. So I like to frame the conversations. When we have conversations, I like to frame it. So we talk a lot in this show about power. Very specifically, we talk about political power. What political power looks like, what it does, who has it, who doesn't have it. Political power is what we discuss, right? So in terms of political power, we have to understand the context of how to understand it. You have to understand political power within the context of political thought. That's why you have so many political philosophers out there, because there's a political school of thought that you adhere to. And within that political school of thought, for your particular group, we decide on political priorities. There is no political power without political thought. Go again. There is no political power without political thought. What that means, though, is that we have to be able to have our own thoughts about politics and what our own priorities are. Right? As opposed to having those given to us or poured into us by somebody outside of us. Put a pin in that. We're going to come back to it. Now, I saw this and it was very interesting. It says Joe Biden struggling with Latino voters in key state of Florida. And I said, well, isn't that something, Because I know, and you know, that if Biden or any other Democrat was struggling to get the black vote, we would be berated to no ends. Listen, we get berated for saying, hey, we're Negroes, we're ADOS over here. We always vote for you. We have a history of coming out overwhelmingly for you over all of these years and years and years. Now, in elections, we set you up to win every time. We're your most loyal group. But one thing, can we have a transformative agenda? Not the agenda that you think is right. Remember, political power is political thought. It's the thought that we think is right. Can we have this thing we want to vote for you in exchange? And everybody says, oh my gosh, you shut up. What's wrong with y'all? Y'all gonna cost everybody to vote. You see what happens? Roland Martin lose all of his follicles out his hair. Everything go crazy. Because we want an agenda. But here we go. We still poll for higher. Overwhelmingly higher. Nearly all of our votes go to the Democrat. We don't vote Republican. We didn't put Trump in there. Black people voted for Hillary. Right? But still, you look at the Latino voters and you see something very different. In Florida, which you know is a swing state, is an essential state for the presidency, Joe Biden is struggling with Latino voters, and I don't hear anybody saying anything. Not a peep. Nobody's berating them or saying, how could you? You got to get Trump out of there. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You are a disgrace to the race. Nobody's saying anything. So let's go into like how this is looking. How bad is it? Let's talk about it. An NBC News marriage poll released Tuesday showed Trump leading Biden among Latinos in Florida 50% to 46%. 50 to 46? Trump is leading Biden among Latinos in Florida 50 to 46? Ooh, that survey found Trump and Biden virtually tied at 48% among likely voters in the state overall. Hold on a minute. I thought we was black and brown and that was a coalition and all this stuff. I'm not seeing it. Biden's struggling to win Miami Latinos, new poll finds. Well, it cost him Florida. Let me tell you something. If Negroes anywhere were on the verge of costing Biden something, everybody, they would put every Negro whisperer known to the history of Negro whisperers on TV to talk about how we ain't nothing and we ought to be ashamed of ourselves and we are making our ancestors sick because they gave us the right to vote. Apparently the right to vote ain't just the right to vote or choose or vote down ballot. It's the right to choose a Democrat in every election. You can't say, well, I'm going to do what we said. Listen, we said we're doing Democratic down ballot. We said not the top of the ticket. We're not doing the top of the ticket. They don't have reparations. They don't have a transformative black agenda. We're doing down ticket Democrat. And they still told us, oh, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. People went into a tailspin. But all over a sudden, I see Latinos out here in Florida about to cost Biden something if they don't. And I don't hear nobody admonishing them or being outraged about it or nothing. See, when you talk about political thought and when you talk about all of that, you have to understand what makes that possible. You know, Biden got in trouble. Let's come out of this for 1 second because I want to just bring one thing up. How many of y'all remember when Biden got in trouble not too long ago? He got in trouble because he said, you know, something to the effect of Latinos are so diverse, like they're more diverse. And I guess he was talking about in political thought than African Americans. Well, here's the thing, though. Let me see if I can find it. We're not allowed to think for ourselves, according to politicians. We're not allowed to have our own thoughts. See, Biden apologizes for comments on racial diversity. Part of the reason that they're diverse, as you say it, because you tried to say it was political, then you said something else that we're going to get into. But part of the reason that happens is because they don't get, no. They don't get berated or mocked or treated as children. We get treated as children by Democrats. You get over there and you shut up and you be our mule and you ride us across this finish line. How dare the mule talk? The mule don't get to talk and say what it wants. The mule gets to take packages across the line. Now take packages across the line. I'll put some more stuff on your back and you carry it. And you shut up. Mules don't talk. We don't get to do that. See, and so there's a whole silence right now. And I'm wondering what's going to happen, fam, if they don't want to do. What's going to happen if they don't want to, 50-50 split, 48-48? Are y'all going to sweeten the pot or y'all going to do them like y'all do us? That's racist. That's anti-ADOSness to just trash us. If we don't want to vote for you without an agenda, if we don't want to vote for the top of the ticket, we're not even Republicans for the most part. And I don't even understand how we deal with this. But let's just go back because we want to hold on to what Biden said about this diversity comment. So let's go into it. In no way did I mean to suggest that the African American community is a monolith, not by identity, not on issues, not at all, Biden said. He bumfundled that all up. In an interview with Black and Latino journalists published early Thursday, Biden said, unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly diverse attitudes about different things. Now I want you to pay attention to one thing, family. Understand how that diversity for them is considered something that's good, to be lauded and appreciated. You're a diverse group. You have diverse feelings and issues and people, and you come from a bunch of different places. How wonderful. For us to have a diversity of opinion and thought is considered disloyal. You think whatever Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or everybody tell you to think, or you don't have a future in the party and you're a traitor. How? Biden tried to clean it up later. A Biden advisor explained his comments as being about the diversity of political views among Latinos. But later Thursday, but let me just say this: how imagine the Democrats celebrating the diversity of political views among a group that votes largely Republican. I mean, it's a minority, but I'm saying that's a large chunk. How do you celebrate that in Latinos but berate us for it all the time? But later Thursday, during a speech to the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials Conference, he promised his administration would reflect the full diversity of Latino communities. Well, bless your heart. He explained that by full diversity, he meant that unlike African American communities and many other communities, you're from everywhere, from Europe, from the tip of South America, all the way to our border, Mexico, and in the Caribbean. And different backgrounds, different ethnicities, but all Latinos. See, that don't make sense in light of Black immigrants. So you know he don't make no sense. You know he's not telling the truth, because in light of Black immigrants who also come from everywhere, what you were talking about is that I have to pay more attention to y'all because you all are accountable with your vote. You don't do what this other group does and just goes along and does all the way down the ticket. So after this, after we do Democratic down ballot, we can celebrate the same way. How about it? 8-hour show in 2020, that they too have a diversity in terms of how they feel and what they're willing to do and withhold. They will vote for local elected officials and elect them, but they won't elect you. But let's keep going, because we got to keep going. Now, we saw he was struggling amongst Latino voters with this article right here. We're talking about Florida specifically. New polls came out. The poll of 500 likely Miami-Dade voters released Tuesday found Trump far behind Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden, 38% to 55% in Miami-Dade, where Democrats typically need to run up the score in order to compete in statewide races. That 17-point deficit is well outside the poll's 4.4 percentage point margin of error. But Trump doesn't need to win Miami-Dade. He just needs to do better in the Democratic-leaning county to offset possible losses in other parts of Florida. This is not good news for the Biden camp. Biden, Trump in a dead heat in Florida. Look at that. 48-48. I don't hear nobody saying nothing. But look who got their cape on. I want you to see who got their cape on. The ones you have kind of moved past and you're not going to give a transformational agenda to. The one who Kamala Harris was talking to the Black business owners and she didn't want to finish the conversation. She had it was marketed as a round table. We're going to talk about it, but let's get into this. Let's see who put the cape on. Who gonna play Captain Saver, a Democrat? Biden's biggest advantage in the tied Florida race are among Black likely voters. He leads them 83% to 11%, women 57% to 40%, and independents 51% to 40%. Trump, meanwhile, leads amongst men 58% to 38%, with white voters 56% to 41%, and whites without a college degree 63 to 35%. Yet, in a significant break from 4 years ago, Trump holds the narrow edge over Biden among likely Latino voters, 50% to 46%, with Trump leading sizably among Latinos of Cuban descent, and with Biden just slightly ahead amongst all other Latinos in the state. The Cuban versus non-Cuban Latino split in the poll is too small to report the actual numbers. Well, it ain't that much then. In terms of the difference, listen, this is an awful, awful thing. I'm still wondering about the outrage. You running like 50-50 in Florida amongst Latinos and we don't hear nothing? Let's go right here real quick. Let's just compare 2016 results. Biden underperforms among Florida Latinos. Let's look at this. 2016 versus 2020 at the bottom. Now let's bring this up a little bit bigger so we can take a good gander. A good gander at it, family. Let's take a good gander at this. Now listen, Democrats, Republicans. 2016 exit polls, 62, that's blue, that's Latinos, versus 35. Biden, you all the way 2020, you at 46 versus 50. Sir, that is not good. Now, I am wondering again, where is the outrage? Latinos done fail about how much is that? They done fail more than 10 points. That's what? Oh, we 46 to 62. Where is the outrage? Where is the outrage amongst the blue vote in Latinos? I want to know. Where are people? Where is Democratic Party telling this group that you got to vote Democrat? Why ain't y'all talking to them the way y'all talk to us? If you don't believe that there's a caste system in America, all you have to do is watch how we're talked to. If you don't believe it, and they employ and deploy and weaponize people who look like us in the media to say stuff about us that don't make no sense. If a Latino had said to Joy Reid, hey, we want an agenda, she would have engaged them in conversation. When an ADOS person told her that, she said, please take your voter suppression message elsewhere. You get one chance to go quietly, then you get blocked. Now, wait a minute. She didn't say, that's not, I think you got confused, Joy, and it's easy for you to get confused. You trip over your own thoughts sometimes. I watch you sometimes, and you trip over your own mind. So I understand how it's easy for you to get confused. Voter expression is not voter suppression. And it's funny how when we talk about the Latino vote, everybody understands that they have a diversity. When we talk about Latinos, it's not nothing wrong with it. It's just that they have a diversity of thought. Isn't it wonderful that they have different political views? That's what America is. And I ain't got no problem with you having different political views. I have no issue with it. Knock yourself out. My problem ain't with them. My problem is with you, Democrats. You treat them different than you treat us. And you send out Joy Reid to do your dirty work. She would never say that to nobody else. She would never say that to a white person who said something to her about, hey, I want a different agenda, or a Latino who said, hey, I want a different agenda. She will only say that to us. And you send out people who look like us to say that to us, to say, sit down and shut up somewhere. Voting is an exchange. Voting is not a gift. I do not work for you. I'm not your cousin, your mama, your sister, your auntie, your grandmom. I'm not none of them things to you. I vote for you because you have an agenda that benefits me, and everybody does the same thing. So if you want to talk to me, if you want to tell me that I can't express my political choices through you, I can't express my political will through you, then why in the world would I vote for you? That is not voter suppression, Joy. But they trot you out. And it's others that they trotted out. What happened to Malcolm Nance? He's still around. I bring him up because he trotted him out. Racist Russians. He called us, now that we know, none of this, you all should be very careful, because now that we know that we don't have, now that it's been reported that we never had any kind of association with Russians. I don't think I ever met a Russian. Now that we know that, you all could really get paperwork. Like, honestly, you are ridiculously stupid. And just, not only just that, it's ridiculously what you did. The level of misinformation that you put out, the level of propaganda. But then again, Malcolm Nance has been wrong on everything. I have never seen the man be right. He said, didn't he predict that Trump was going to get impeached and all this stuff? He just says stuff to hear himself talk. I don't even think he's on TV no more. I ain't seen him in a long time. Does somebody still let that man talk? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous for silly people to keep accusing us of they're engaged in voter suppression. No, we've told you what we're over 2 years into telling you exactly what we want to see. We want to see our will expressed through your agenda, and you keep telling us no, I'm not going to do anything specifically for black people. No, ha, ha, ha. Well, Kamala, I think the joke might be on you. Kamala, hell, what the hell? Your name. No other group would let somebody get on TV and say, I'm not going to do anything for you. And then say, we got to get out and we still got to get out and vote for her. We got to get Trump out of there. We got to get Trump out of there. Y'all know we got to get Trump out of there. It don't matter if she said, it don't matter if she told us to go suck coconuts. We got to get Trump out of there. No. I'd love to see Trump out of there, but not at what? But not at this expense. That's not an agenda. See, getting a candidate out of office that I don't like is still not an agenda. You still have to give me an agenda, and you know how to do it because you've already been moving in that way with another group. Now let's go, because I want to see something. Biden said something interesting. He said Latinos are diverse and their thoughts are diverse. Now, so I said, let's see how diverse they are. So let's look it up. This is a very interesting thing. Let's see how the Latinos feel about certain issues. This is from Pew. Path to legal status for the unauthorized is top immigration policy goal for Hispanics in the U.S. Okay, so let's look at this thing. Let me see if I can big this a little bit bigger. The heading is Path to legal status. Wait a minute. Path to legal status, admitting refugees and improving border security are top priority goals for Hispanics. And let me bring this up a little bit bigger. So you look at the brown, that's very important. The beige is somewhat important, right? So I want you to see how this thing splits up. It's amazing. And it's, you see the net on the right side. Percentage who say each is a blank goal for U.S. immigration policy. Very important or somewhat important. So establish way for most immigrants in U.S. illegally to stay. 54%, very important. That still ain't a lot. It's a majority. That still ain't a lot. Imagine if we had that same poll. They would call all of us xenophobic. This don't make no sense. And when I say, somebody said Trump is impeached. And when I say, they said Malcolm Nance said he was going to get kicked out of office. Malcolm Nance is a troll, and he doesn't understand politics. Somebody said, well, Trump did get impeached. No, Malcolm Nance said they were going to pack his stuff up and make him leave. That never happened. So, and who would say that would happen? The Senate is ain't the Senate Republican? Come on. You think Mitch McConnell is going, what in the world? It don't make no sense. But back to the Latinos. Path to legal status, admitting refugees and improving border security are top immigration goals for Hispanics. So look, take in civilian refugees from countries where people are trying to escape violence and war. Very important. Only 42. 42. Somewhat important. 37. Now, if I say something like that, I'm xenophobic. I'm xenophobic. I'm an awful person if I say it. Somebody else can say whatever they want to say and have a diverse opinion, and it's fine. Improve security at the country's borders. 42. Very important. 34. Somewhat important. And it gets increased security along the Mexico border. 34. Reduce illegal crossings. 32. Net 66. Increase deportations of immigrants in the country legally. 17, 25. That makes sense. So let's go to the next one. The next one is kind of interesting too. So let's see some more about the diversity. Views of immigration policy goals by political parties. So here they're breaking up Hispanics based on the political party they identify with and looking at the diversity of opinion, right? So let's bring it a little bit bigger. So you see Hispanics differ by party in immigration policy goals. But it's still a lot of diversity in here, family. So percentage saying each is a very or somewhat important goal for U.S. immigration policy. So you see lean Republican, all Hispanics, and Democrat or lean Democrat. So Republican or lean Republican, that's like the peach. Democrat or lean Democrat is like the blue. It's supposed to be red, but it looks more peachy to me. And all Hispanics. So establish way for most immigrants in U.S. illegally to stay legally. Lean. Now remember this. Remember what this is saying. Percentage saying it is somewhat or very important, right? Now look at this. Look at 71, 80, 83, somewhat, very, or somewhat important. Right? They all seem to want to establish a pathway. Take in civilian refugees from countries where people are trying to escape violence and war. Here you get a shift. Right? But it's still a majority. Improve security of countries' borders. Look at the diversity of thought these people are allowed to have. We could never be that kind of 72, 76, 60, 66, 86. We could never do that. We could never have that kind of diversity of thought, improve security at the borders. And this is just broken down based on how people lean. And you do see differences between those who lean Democrat, right? See, the Democrats at the bottom don't want to increase deportations. That's at 32. So you do see differences, but there's a lot of split in that. Now let me just show the next one so we can move on. Hispanics broadly support granting legal status to immigrants brought to the U.S. illegally as children. That's DACA. They named themselves the Dreamers. We're supposed to be the Dreamers because we're the children of King and his "I Have a Dream" speech, but they kind of took that and ran with it. Nobody said nothing. They took the language and the lingo of the Dreamers. We're the Dreamers. King gave the "I Have a Dream" speech, but apparently, that don't work no more. You can just take somebody's narrative and legacy and shoehorn your way into it for your own stuff. So they the Dreamers now. They said so. Hispanics broadly support granting legal status to immigrants brought to the U.S. illegally as children. Now, you see all Hispanics, those who oppose, all Hispanics is you see that at 12 percentage points. Democratic, lean Democratic at 8, even less, and Republican, lean Republican at 22. And that explains this. On day one, this was in August, on day one, I'll send a bill to Congress creating a clear roadmap to citizenship for Dreamers and the 11 million undocumented people already strengthening our nation. It's long overdue. See, you are responding to what they are telling you in the polling that they want. You are responding to what they are telling you that they want and what they need. Everybody 400 years has told you that we need reparations, and you're not responding to us. And to reiterate that you had your VP, come out and say the same stuff. 8 years ago today, the first DACA applications were accepted. Dreamers are Americans. Actually, no, that's kind of the thing that we're trying to, that's up for debate. No, they're not. How? Dreamers are Americans, but they still remain under attack by this administration. On day one, as president, Joe Biden will take action to protect Dreamers from deportation and put them on the path to citizenship. If they're already Americans, they wouldn't need a path to citizenship, Dodo Bird. Jeez. And here we go again. Let's look at this one. Hispanic views of asylum seekers at the U.S.-Mexico border. Look at the diversity that they're allowed to have. Most Latinos critical of U.S. government response to the surge in asylum seekers at border with Mexico. All Hispanics, you look at percentage, yes, very bad, 26, somewhat bad, 36. Then you have very good over there in the little space right there. You see Democratic leaning, 36 in the blue, 39 in the lighter blue. Look at this though. That's insane. That's insane. But this is the best one. You could, none of us could ever say this. We're going to leave it at this one. We could never say this. Majority of Latinos say U.S. does not have responsibility to take Central American asylees. Now, you have some of these people, I don't know whether they were talking to first generation or second generation Latinos or people who just got here, but they don't break it down that way. But they can say, all Hispanics, a majority can say that the majority of Latinos say U.S. does not have a responsibility to take Central American asylees. I could never say that. If I said anything like that, they would say, oh my God, Yvette is so xenophobic. She ought to be ashamed of herself. If I said that, they can say it, no repercussions. They're not considered anti-Latino, xenophobic, anti-black, anti-nothing. Understand there's a political freedom that they have that we don't have, and that is racist. We don't get to think for ourselves, have our own political thoughts. And look at how the Republicans lean, the leaning Republican ones. Look at how they lean. They can say, we don't have responsibility for those people. Nobody says a word. I say, you know what? Illegal immigration can have a negative impact on unskilled ADOS workers, especially black men. I say that, and oh my gosh, it's a xenophobe. And these crazy, weird people will chase me around the internet for months and months on end. That they ain't got nothing better to do. Wasn't they doing some weird stuff online last night too? Some weird stuff online, saying some weird stuff. Ain't got nothing to do but run around and sweat and get tired. Child, don't nobody care. Don't nobody care how many Zooms you do. Ain't nobody worried. Not about you. And this little cobbled together gang you run with. Ain't nobody scared of you and your little troop, your little goof troop. Especially not when other groups get to who aren't even impacted like we're impacted. Who didn't build a country like we built the country. Who haven't been here multi-generationally and been oppressed within America as we have. You can't tell me nothing, goof troop. Lord have mercy. I saw one of them put up a hashtag called soda. They reversed ADOS. And I don't know what they were trying to be funny or nothing, but it sure was stupid. Solidarity of dispersed Africans. Y'all so silly. How can grown people be so silly? Just silly, acting out. I'm going to do a Zoom and I'm going to say that Yvette said that these people were responsible and I'm going to do it and I'm going to have people there and it's going to be a big thing. No, it wasn't. And it's never going to be. But listen, you can run till your legs tired. You can run till your legs tired, child. I'm not here to stop you. I'm just here to point out that you're not the brightest big head apple in the barrel. That's all. So let's get back to the vote before we be done wasted time on people who don't matter. Don't you hate when that happens? I just had to comment on it because I know people would. What did Yvette think about that? I thought it was silly. And just put this, I'm just going to throw this up one more time for the people in the back, if you don't mind. Majority of Latinos say the U.S. does not have responsibility to take Central American asylees. Why don't you go chase them? Why don't you go run after them? You like running. Running and running and running and running. Why do you police? See, let me just say this. I'm going to take this off and let me say this. What's happening with us is that people are allowed to police our thought, our political thought. You don't police, like they get to, like the Latinos get to feel however they want to feel about asylum seekers or refugees or other Latinos or the border. They get to feel how they want to feel. You police our political thought. That is racist. And you can be a black person and still have internalized racism. And that's what you're doing. And you are weaponizing yourself against the very thing that's going to give ADOS our inheritance and generational wealth that we have already earned. You are in the way. Why don't you move? Because it's not like, people say, well, if they in the way, then they must be doing something. No, they're not in the way. We always get people out of the way. But it would just be better if they just wouldn't be in the way. It's only a small thing to pick you up and put you over here. And that's what we always do. We always end up picking people up and put them over here. Because you lightweight. So we just pick you up and put you over here. But at some point, it's like, it's just annoying. You're like, you worrisome like, you ever get a gnat? You worrisome like gnats. You worrisome like mosquitoes. And you don't know where he at, but you know he bit you. And you see it on your body. You see it and it itches. But you don't know where he was. The mosquito is not a threat to you, but he is annoying. You don't want to be scratching. You might go get some alcohol and you worry. I worry about the mosquito because he got blood in him. I know they said you can't get a lot of stuff from him, but I worries. So I don't want a mosquito if I can help it biting me. That's what you are. Just stop biting me. I'm tired of scratching. I want to just focus, not be like, all the time. That's tiresome. Now, let's get to the next thing. Gosh, can't even request an agenda without people saying, oh, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You want an agenda for your people? What the hell? That's voter suppression. All these weird people. And it kind of takes us to this. I put this up on Twitter the other day. And when you go back to, let me just go back to this real quick, because what Biden said was interesting. So let's go back here real quick. He didn't just say we're going to be with the Dreamers and we're going to be with DACA. He said on day one, I'll send a bill to Congress, creating a clear roadmap to citizenship for Dreamers and the 11 million undocumented people already strengthening our nation. Day one. That language is important. And it's important. It's important because when Kamala tweeted it, she tweeted the same thing with the same language. That's how watch repetitive language is important. When a politician repeats language, it's intentional. Same thing. On day one, Joe Biden will take action to protect Dreamers. Nobody has told us anything. We are the most loyal group to the party. Not the Latinos, not anybody. We are the most loyal group to the Democratic Party, and nobody has told us what they're going to do for us on day one. Not one person has said, listen, we're going to do this. We're going to do reparations on day one. We're going to do a transformational black agenda and send it and parts of it, and send it to Congress on day one. We're going to do an executive order for this on day one. Nobody has said that to the most loyal base of the Democratic Party. That should tell you where we stand and how these people feel about us. And if it doesn't tell you, this should. So Kamala Harris, it was a clip. She went to Wisconsin talking to black business owners. It was supposed to be. It was billed as a round table, so you could have a discussion. She didn't take no questions. Had the man handing over the microphone. Man, the next vice president. I'm sure you have some things to say. Here's the microphone, man. Here you go. Here's the. They said somebody else said in the back. No, she's not taking no questions. What? You're not gonna take a question. And then she got into some whole other stuff. She just went off a list. She was reading from paper. First of all, how long have you been a politician that you read from paper? I don't care if somebody told you something 30 minutes ago. You ought to remember it enough, be able to integrate enough to your thoughts to talk about it and converse about it without looking at the paper all the time. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. And then she started talking about opportunity zones. That's Trump. Well, Democrats have that in common with Trump, right? They all kind of get into this private-public partnership. Then she started talking about the same thing she said about reparations. It's not just about certain groups. This is good for all America. This is not just about specific groups. Then she started talking about minority owned and women owned. That's not black. Just because it's minority. A lot of minorities in America, that's not black. And just because it's women owned, it could be white women or any other women. It could be Asian women. Anybody. That's not black. You were all over the place. You just babble some stuff off, and you don't believe me. It's up on my Twitter timeline. If you don't believe me, go look at it and go look at her babble some junk off and run off. But she did say something. Before she left, she did say something. She didn't offer up much except for the same. We don't do community banks and community banking. But of course, she was met with some supporters. And she told them, we need y'all to vote. See, the problem, Kamala, is that you always need us. But you're not there. Y'all not there when we need y'all to do something. Don't keep telling us what you need me to do. Don't ask me what I can do for you. Ask yourself what you can do for me. And if you need some help answering that question, my DMs are always open. You need, this is the issue. You told us to go out and vote. I need your help. Gosh, y'all be running a deficit. Make sure everybody votes early, right? Harris said to a cheering crowd. By September 17th, you're going to get your ballots. October 20th, your early voting starts. That's my birthday. So I need your help. I ain't volunteered to give you no gift. I don't know you. I don't know this lady. I ain't giving her no gift. What you tell me her birthday for? I don't want to remember that. I don't want to ever remember Kamala Harris's birthday. Listen, we don't have a personal relationship. You're a politician. That's it. You want us to give you a birthday gift, but this is the conversation that we're having around Latinos right now because they split. Taking them for granted. God, we're going to sweeten the pot. Nah. See, that's why we're Democratic down ballot. Top of the ballot ain't going to be it. You still running around doing this whole thing, making us into mules, telling us what you need like we work for you. Nah. I don't think that's going to work this time around. Nah. And everybody can go around and talk about, even though in Florida you got half the Latinos voting Republican, everybody can still run around and talk about everything that Democrats need to do for them to get more of their votes. We vote overwhelmingly. 90% a lot of the time. Sometimes it's 88, depending on the place, 87. What was it? One of the ones we saw, the lowest one was like 83. And this is what we get. We get you running around being concerned about somebody else. And not being concerned about the agenda we gave you. No, it's not going to. No, this doesn't work. Doesn't fit. It's not what I want. See, I can tell that the rest of this election cycle will be focused on figuring out how to get Latinos to line up. And it won't be how you get us to line up. Like, y'all get us in line by beating and shaming us. Like, figuratively just shaming us and talking to us. Like, how dare you talk to me about my ancestors? You don't have any right to do that. People died so we could vote. You don't get to, you shouldn't even get to, I don't even know how we got to a place where we allow people to say that out their mouth. So you'll just try to shame me into voting. Whereas I think we shall see, but you're going to sweeten the pot with the Latino vote. And that's what you should do with us. I'm not saying anything bad about them. I'm telling you what you should do with us. And for once, we're going to do this down ballot, Democratic down ballot thing. We got local, we got initiatives we need to vote for. We got some local officials we need to vote for. There's stuff that we got to handle on the ballot. We're not disengaging from politics and we're not suppressing politics. But the top of the ticket, no sir, no ma'am. Because this is the utter amount of disrespect. And this is not an exchange. I know Barack Obama tried to talk to us and shoot a little shot at the Democratic convention and said, no, it's not an exchange. It's not. Yes, it is. It's not transactional. Yes, it is. And it's like going to the store and giving money and then just walking out without any groceries or a little bit of groceries. You bought a whole basket full. You bought stuff for the whole week and they gave you eggs and waffles for breakfast. Sir, dear grocer, that ain't what I asked for. That ain't what I ordered. Well, that's all you get. It's not transactional. It is. Politics is. And it is for everybody else except for us. And we can't, to go back to how I started off here, this is about, you can't have political power without owning our own political thought and our own political priorities. Those are important. We have to own our political thoughts and we have to own our political priorities. We cannot have We cannot afford to have our political priorities poured into us by establishment Democrats. We have to create, outside of the white gaze, our own political priorities and take them to whoever is in power. That's how it is. That's how it works. And the people might say no or whatever. Well, our vote is going to reflect that you said no or you decided to go a different route. That's what it is. And if we don't like anybody on the top of that ticket, we're not voting for anybody on the top of the ticket. That's what Democratic down ballot is all about. So I'm going to leave it at that, fam. Go and take some calls. Give me a few minutes as usual to set up the phones. We will be back and we will have the conversation. fam, we are back. We are back. We are back. And we're going to go straight to the calls in just un momento. Oh, there we go. All right, fam. I am going straight to the calls. I am going to 214. I'm coming to you. 214. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, Yvette.
Hey. You sound like you in a hole somewhere. I can barely hear you.
Hold on one moment. I'll change that really quickly. Is that better?
Oh, much better.
Okay. So, I've been trying to call in because I'm really concerned. I truly respect and love you and Antonio for all the work that you have done and continue to do.
Thank you.
And I was 10 toes down with voting down ballot.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel at this point, they are really just giving us their butts to kiss. They don't care that we've made that that not just threat but promise to them. They seem to be going out of their way to find ways around whether we'll be at the polls or not, or whether we would be placing a vote for a Democratic president-elect. So I was wondering, and this is a two-part question. I was wondering if you and Antonio ever considered undervoting, doing something that even down ballot is a very loud protest, but undervoting would be even louder.
What is undervoting?
And it's something. I'm sorry?
I said, what is it? Give the people a definition.
Okay. So undervoting, there are different methods that can be used, but the loudest protest would be for us to all show up to the ballot, to the polls, but to what they call spoil the ballot. By spoiling the ballot, there's been many examples. One example is people just would write Mickey Mouse across the ballot. But what it does is it shows a very loud protest against the government and its politicians, and to show our how we truly feel about them ignoring us. But they would also not be able to use, the trope that they use every election. Us blacks, those blacks, they never come out to vote. Well, a lot of people are saying they're not coming out to vote because they just cannot see themselves voting for either candidate. And then they don't want to vote for any Democratic candidates at all because of just how blatant the Democrat Party has been in ignoring us, and how blatant they have been in basically making Latinos their new favorite pet, so to speak. And so in this sense, we'd be able to show the government and the politicians, not just one party, but the government and its totality, that we are very dissatisfied.
Well, see, let me tell you my problem. Let me cut you off and tell you my problem with that.
Okay.
I think that there are other things on the ballot that are way too important to just show up and vote Mickey Mouse. Like in the sense of people are voting for judges, people are voting for prosecutors, people are voting for the people who these people hold your life in their hand, and you need to be able to select. You're voting for sheriffs in your county. You're voting for tax increases or tax decreases in your county or your area. Those things are important, and you need to show up and vote for those things. Like, life is not a game. I kind of believe, we have to show up, and like, I'm not giving my vote to Kamala and Biden, Biden and Kamala or Trump and Pence. I cannot do that. But there are still very serious issues on that ballot that I have a responsibility to show up for or against. Some people I just show up for
Right.
to vote against. There are some initiatives that I just show up for to vote against. Right? I'm showing up for those things regardless.
Okay. Well, would you consider at least possibly changing the language from Democratic down ballot to just down ballot?
Because most of us vote Democrat. Let's be honest. Like, most of us don't even live in a Republican area. That's just the truth. Like, most of us don't even live in a really red county or city. Now, some do, but most of us don't. And even if you do, a lot of times you want to vote for the blue. We overwhelmingly vote blue, so why wouldn't I call it Democratic down ballot? That's normally what we do. That's what it is.
But that's the problem. That is normally what we do. And should we just do something?
I don't think that's the problem locally. Like, when you talk about a local prosecutor, the battle is usually, right? If you talk about you're voting for a local prosecutor, the battle is usually, when you talk about it, is usually two Democrats, and you're trying to figure out which of them you want before it becomes Republican, because Republican is normally going to be the law and order. I'm gonna lock them up and throw away the key one. So I don't think locally, like when you talk about your local sheriff or when you talk about your local judge, I don't think locally that is necessarily the issue. I think that becomes an issue nationally when you deal with the people who we deal with nationally. So no, I wouldn't want to change that language. Now, I'm not in your voting booth. If you have a different scenario or a different situation in your life, right, and there is really somebody there who is conservative or whatever, who you think is really better than the person who's Democrat, I'm not going to be in the booth, and I'm not going to be in the booth able to tell you to do anything. I'm just telling you why it is what it is, because that's, like, the Democratic Party owes us, because that's who we voted for. We have put these people in office. They owe us this debt, and they need to pay it. We have voted for them, and they have given us nothing transactionally. They just give us mouth about, we're going to do this, going to be better, and we're going to be better than Trump. That's what I'm talking about. But, like, when you look at the local level with these little office or whatever, I don't know how many of y'all, just show of hands, live in a really red area and vote for the Republican there, or just show of hands in the chat.
I live in a red area. I'm in Dallas.
No, your
County,
city.
But I don't.
You vote for the Republicans there?
I don't vote Republican, but I live in a Republican state and a Republican county. But I don't vote Republican.
Yeah, that's my point, though. That's my point.
Everyone else, a loyal Democratic voter. But I mean, it seems like the more, we say, listen, we're not going to vote for you. We're going to do, like, for instance, the second part.
Let me just start right there. I live in a red. Okay, let me just start right there. I live in a red state. I don't live in a red county, right? That's what I'm saying. And even if you live in a red county, I know black people who live in a red county, but they don't vote red. Because
I don't either.
Yeah, that's kind of my point, but I'll let you finish.
No, I was just saying I don't either. To be clear.
Yeah, so that's my problem. See, the problem that I have is that if you vote, here's the problem that I have. If somebody says, I'm going to show up in November and I'm only going to vote Mickey Mouse, what you're giving them permission to do as an abdication of responsibility, you're giving them permission to disengage. Because if somebody's only going to vote Mickey Mouse, they don't have to research nothing. They don't have to look at who's. Well,
I wasn't suggesting Mickey Mouse. I was just saying that's an example.
I
was talking about returning to one of our original ideas of ADOS, just writing ADOS on the ballot.
Well, let's say somebody just say, I'm going to vote ADOS. We don't have to say Mickey Mouse. We can say if somebody says, I'm just going to go up and I'm going to write ADOS. The problem is that gives them permission to disengage. So you don't have to research none of the people on your ballot. You don't have to research none of the ballot initiatives, none of the propositions, because you just said, I'm gonna show up and vote ADOS. I don't want anybody to disengage from what's going to be on the ballot. I want everybody to stay politically engaged and research everything that's on your ballot and talk to your family and friends about it and what you're going to do. Well, what about this? Are they legalizing this? Are they going to do this? Or you heard they want to put the tax up 20% on this? I don't know how I feel about it. I want everybody to stay engaged. And when you give people the permission to disengage, people will do the thing that leads them to the path of least resistance, which is, I'm only going to show up and vote ADAR, so I ain't even got to look into this other stuff. No, I need you to look into all of it, because all of it matters, and that's my point.
Well, but I agree with you 100% on that. And that's the second part I was going to bring up, because the thing is, we do need to know, and a huge part of this knowing has been Breaking Brown and Tone Talk, and I mean maybe one or two other people. I know two that I personally will listen to, Dr. Shauna and
that's fine. I don't need to hear the names. You gotta shout them out.
But what the Heroes Act, for instance, I don't think people understand how serious the Heroes Act is.
Okay.
They're disguising the treachery and the treason
I understand,
that they're
fam, but
trying to pull off.
I understand, but we gotta stay on. We gotta stay. I gotta, fam. I hear you, but we gotta go to another call. I appreciate it though. I'm happy I addressed it. Thank y'all so much. Thank you so much for calling in. But I gotta move on. I can't go through. We can't have the Heroes Act and then we already addressed one thing and then go to the next thing. We just gotta try, because I'm trying to be mindful of the other people who are waiting on the call, and I want to try to get as many people in as I can. So no disrespect to her. We had our conversation. I just want to try to move on and have conversations with some other people too. I am going now. I'm going to 773. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Oh, hello, Yvette. My name is Carl Robinson. I'm calling from Chicago. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How about you?
Oh, I'm fine. It's been a rough week, man. I had to put down the libations and listen to the ancestors and see what they was trying to tell me.
Because libations be lying. But go on, fam.
I think a good percentage of ADOS people don't want an ADOS leader.
Ooh.
And I really think that because, now listen to me now, I was having this conversation with my buddy about Kim Fox came up. And a lot of people don't like her about the Jesse Smollett things and that.
Who is that? First, I have no idea. Fam, I have no idea who you're talking about. Who?
Kim Fox.
I know who you're talking about. Prosecutor. The prosecutor? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we was talking about her. So, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're fine, fam.
Okay. So we was talking about her. Kim Fox and the whole Jesse Smollett thing. So, and I was talking about it, and I heard him say, I said, I like her, I'll vote for her. And he said, again. So I was talking, and he was like, well, she's not rough on crime. She's letting the criminal go out. I said, first of all, she can only do what the courts allow her, what the statutes of the law, and what the evidence they bring, and she give it to the judge. And I said, why the Italians, Irish, and the Polish don't like her, because that used to be their spot to throw all the blacks in when they want to. Oh, well, and the key thing that he said, and he was like, well, I think she liked that. She just let them all go because, she's from the hood. And I looked at him like, wouldn't that what you want? Somebody like us, ADOS, in a leadership position, to kind of know where we come from?
Yeah, I heard there's a lot of I heard there's some disagreement about her and in over there. So I was wondering about that, because I heard some people, wasn't she challenged or something? Like, didn't she get a go ahead, fam, I'm sorry.
Oh no. Oh, they hate her. The cops, the Italians, they hate her, and I know why, because like Ed Burke, he was a cop way back when. I can't count how many black men he put in jail, and then 20, 30 years later, you give them a couple million and they crying. Ain't no million worth 30 years of your life.
Oh no, that's finished. I'm finna be dead. No, that's finished, yeah.
And that's what the Italians used to do. Mayor Daley, father, they just, let's go in the corner, pick any black man out and throw him in prison. Okay. But that's crazy. But I have one more thing I want to say, and that's it. Okay. I think Barack Obama should have made the DREAM Act for the African chattel slave of the United States of America, whom was brought to shores in the 1600s. and left it at that. It shouldn't have been for the immigrants. Because we was arguing, and I was one of them, Barack Obama gonna do it on the second term. I canvassed for that man. I lived in Hyde Park. I did all that. He shouldn't have to put our stuff through the back door and wait till the last term. Because an immigrant, he came in your mama house through the big joker, the little joker, the ace, king, and queen on your table and told you what he was doing for the immigrants.
Yeah.
It's called a dream act.
Yeah.
He let him hang in your face and then told you to pull your bootstraps up.
I agree, fam. I agree.
All right.
Thank you, fam. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
But let me,
thank you.
I always say this, and I've been saying this for a very long time. Politicians respond to pressure, not applause. And so, we can say what Barack Obama should have done, but I was around and I voted for Barack Obama the first term, and I said, oh, this is going very poorly. And I remember when I opposed Obama, I remember the response I got. And everybody just wanted to hang his picture on the wall and talk about how proud they were. And I was like, hey, this thing is going awry. And nobody wanted to pressure Barack Obama, including all of the people that you see on TV now. And that's who politicians respond to pressure, not applause. And so we got to learn that. Ain't no time to be loving on no politician. Don't no politician love you. Not one. We're going to the next call. Going to 267. 267, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, this is Trina. Is this Yvette?
Yes. How you doing?
Hi, it's me and my mom watching. I'm surprised we got in. I just wanted to say, hello, Breaking Brown family. So glad to talk to you and hear about your show, and just been watching for a long time. I would like to say just some words of encouragement. When they're being silent, I think what we're doing is actually working. Sometimes saying nothing means a lot with them ignoring us. And what I'm saying is the aspect that they're truly not, because you're hearing the talking points of what ADOS is saying all across the board. I just think we need to just keep pressing forward. And I understand everybody's like getting discouraged because we're coming closer to the block. But it's not going to be like this turnover for an easy fight. They're going to put up a fight, but we got to show them that we mean business. We got to not get discouraged, because I see that we're being watched in every corner, just in everyday life. Everybody's looking at who we are, and they know who we are. You can hear it in your everyday life when you're talking to family, friends. I'm seeing it. I work in a very political field, which is at the courthouse, and I'm seeing where the conversation is coming up. And I just thank God for you and Tone with reparations and speaking about it at work, speaking about it with friends and including white people. So this is. I mean, you got to be careful how you speak, especially in your job realm. But I see what we're doing working, and I think we should just stick to Democrat down ballot.
Absolutely.
Now, when you go in there, look in your areas, look at those questions, and be steadfast. We cannot get discouraged at this point.
No.
And what it is we're not going to get a fast result and a fast answer. This is going to be a push and a press, and we just need to stand up and push forward, and just let people in your family, like Tone was saying, like you were saying, let the people in your family know who we are. A lot of us are still waking up and don't even know what we're entitled to. So this is just a weaning point. That we're in the beginning to middle stages. We're not even to the middle stages, so we're getting discouraged. Just don't let it push you down. This is a storm, and we got to weigh our way through it.
Yeah, I agree, fam.
So
Thank
I hope that's helpful.
Thank you, fam. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I agree with you. I think you have to stay encouraged, and you have to understand what you're entitled to. When you look at this chart in terms of like how the vote broke down, one of the things that you see and that's clear, we were talking about Trump, Clinton. Look at the black, only 8% like red, Republican, and the rest is blue. Look at Hispanics, that's 29%. And as the most loyal group, we're not getting catered to. And like, I put this up because what the lady is saying is true, in the sense of we're right. Like when part of the thing, when you say stay encouraged, the part of what should encourage you is that like we're absolutely right. when you look at this and when you look at how we're treated and when you look at what we don't get, you have to understand that we are 100% right. I don't know of anything else that could keep you more encouraged than the knowledge of that. So anyway, let me go to the next call. I am going to 702. 702. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yeah, Yvette, this is Aaron. I'm calling from Las Vegas.
What's going on in Vegas?
And, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I'm digging that tie-dye that you're wearing. I like that tie-dye. It looks good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Don't seem like you... don't seem like you're too violent like they say we are. We're wearing tie-dyes. I guess we're supposed to be violent people. I thought that people wearing tie-dyes are supposed to be peaceful.
Happy.
But I just want to say...
Love.
So I just want to say about Joy Reid and Malcolm Nance and all these people. Quit calling us Russian bots. Quit saying that we're violent. I am a 25-year veteran. I served in U.S. Navy, on the USS Enterprise, and on the USS Nimitz. I love my country, and I am not racist. My wife is Latino. She's Hispanic, and I am ADOS all the way, straight up and down. Quit saying that. But what I will tell these people, I just lost my job. I just bought a house, okay? And if I don't find another job, I could be looking at a foreclosure. So they need to knock it off with all of that, okay? This is real life. We out here fighting for something real. And trying to get a little emotional. I'm kind of like a little nervous.
Take your time. Take your time.
But anyway, and then like Kamala with this lip down. That little $200 that she's talking about flying our way. I'm looking at an electricity bill right now that's $285. Okay? We need some serious change here. You know, I just had to add a little bit. I love what you guys do. I love what Tone does.
Appreciate it.
You know, keep up the good work.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And, you know, I know it's a struggle, but, we got to stay in it and stay in the fight. That's what it's about. I appreciate you calling in, fam. Yeah, everything is hot. Like, America's a place where, like, they don't want to repay you for the generational wealth and everything that they plundered and the accrued disadvantage. Nobody wants to pay for that, but everything's sky high, in terms of the bill he was talking about, sky high. So, like, no, it doesn't work that way. You got to pay your debts. Like, America's a place that's really about paying debts, and you have to be responsible. And America's the most irresponsible country in terms of, like, the people that it owes a debt to. You owe a debt, America. You got to get your credit together. You got to pay your bills. With what? No, America, get your stuff together. Be responsible. And pull up your pants while you're at it. Anyway, I'm going to the next caller. I am going to 808. 808, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, my name is Tansy. I'm calling from the DMV. ADOS DMV. I want to represent.
What's going on with you?
So, I want to say the Democratic down ballot.
Okay.
We've been saying to write in ADOS at the top of the ticket and fill in everything down ballot. But I want to inform the Breaking Brown family that please know what your state election laws are. We have never states, which means that they don't allow anybody to write anything in. They have states that do allow things to be written in, but it's under certain circumstances and restrictions. And then you have states that don't even matter. You can write in Mickey Mouse, like the girl said, and it'll still be counted. They'll still look at the rest of your ballot. But on these other two states, the other two sections, if you write anything in there that doesn't go along with their state election laws, they will throw out that entire ballot.
Exactly.
So,
fam, but let me just say this. Yeah, but
correctly. That down ballot could be used as voter suppression, and we did it to ourselves. So we have to be sure that you know your election laws in your state. I'm not going to go through all the states and say who's going to be on what. It's going to be up to us to look that up and find out what your state is.
Let me say this
you
too,
have
fam.
to do the work.
Let me say this too, fam.
Our website,
let me say
that stuff in there, but you have to do the work and know.
Fam, let me say this too. And most states do allow you to skip. Like, so if you don't want to put anything in the Kamala Joe Biden thing, that's not, check your state, but that's not typically something that will get your vote thrown out. You didn't vote for those two. That doesn't get, but if you, like she says, there are states though, if you vote something, put something silly in there or whatever, it becomes an issue and it could be used to throw the entire ballot out for other stuff that you want to vote for. That's why Democratic down ballot is for me the best way to go, because it doesn't put your ballot in jeopardy. But I'll let you finish, fam. I'm sorry.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Some states will allow you to write down anything, and then some states will use anything to throw your entire ballot out. Mm-hmm. So wherever you are, know your state election laws so that you won't be suppressing your own vote. We need to show up and vote. If you don't see anybody up there that you want to vote for, no green, no blue, no red, no nobody, leave it blank. It's okay. You do not have to write anything in there because you don't want to jeopardize the entire thing being thrown out.
True.
You ask some people at the desk, at the door, because they do exit polling. Then you talk to her and you tell her what your opinion is. But don't mess up your ballot, and make sure if you're going to mail in your ballot, make sure you read that ballot, sign everything they ask you to sign. Make sure your signatures match your registration, because that's another way that they use to throw your entire ballot out. So you going and you're doing the work, but they're using everything that they can to throw your ballot out. Sign every place they say sign, the envelope, the inside, do the hokey pokey and turn yourself around before you put it in the ballot box. I don't know, but make sure you do all the things, because they're using any excuse to throw out your ballot. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that, because if you go in there and you write in ADOS and your state is not one of those states that's anything goes state like that, your entire ballot is going to be thrown out, and they're going to use our own strategy against us. So we have to do this and do it smartly.
Yep. Thank you, fam.
And that's all I got to say.
No, I appreciate it.
Everybody, y'all be safe out there.
You too. And I appreciate it, fam. I thank you so much for calling in, because that's one of the perils. Most states don't punish you for leaving something blank. Like, you could leave something blank just because you don't know or you got confused. But certain markings or certain things on that ballot could be used as a precursor to throw it away. And I encourage everybody to mail in a ballot, but I'm actually thinking about, because ain't nobody usually at my polling place, I'm actually thinking about going in, because I don't know, I gotta think about it. I don't know, I kind of want to go in there with my mask on. I don't know, I'm not, there's something, Trump talking all this mess about all this stuff, but get your mail-in ballot, and those are their deadlines coming up for getting it. So everybody check that deadline too, for whatever your state is, to get your ballot, to mail it back in. People be like, oh, it's September. Yeah, a lot of these states got relatively early deadlines for that. So make sure you check that as well. Like, that's why I want to keep people engaged. What she just said is very important. What is the rule for your state? Do you know? Like, everybody, you have plans about what you want to do. Do you know what the rule is about how they discard votes and what is the criteria? These are things that you got to know, but you only know that if you're engaged. If you just decided in your mind that you're going to vote Mickey Mouse or whatever, you won't even research it, because you've already got a plan. That's why you have to be engaged. Anyway, fam, I'm going to the next call. I am going to, let's see, 810, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, this is Gerard from ADOS Detroit.
What's going on with you?
Nothing much. Day one policies for day one citizens.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a hitter, ain't it?
I
can't claim authorship of that. It was Josh from the Be the Power podcast.
He did a word.
Yeah, he did. Day one policies for day one citizens. I just want to talk about real quick the whole idea of voting down ballot. I'm 100% for that. Voting down ballot Democrat, 100% for that. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I am is that you have to have a credible threat. When when you're dealing with negotiations. This is, like you said, and you've been pushing, voting is an exchange. It's a negotiation, and you have to be willing to be able to walk away from the table when you're not presented with the deal that you want. This has been talked about a lot in reference to the deal that Joe Budden, just left Spotify about. Him and Charlamagne were going back in the public, you know what I mean, in reference to all of that. And Boyce had a podcast or YouTube, trying to cover that. But one thing that he definitely said is right is that you have to have a credible threat. You know what I mean? And we as black people have constantly voted Democrat, and 90% haven't gotten anything for the vote. We have to be able to show that, look, we're not going for this, and this, and Trump be damned. You know what I mean? I feel like it's the only way to really, because to get this, this reparations agenda, black agenda, really, to be taken seriously. Because as long as you keep on trying to vote for the lesser of two evils, you're going to get screwed in the process. They're going to take us to the captive audience and the captive voting block, and that's really all I had.
Well, I think
but that's it.
No, it's interesting though. That is interesting. I think you do have to have a credible threat, and I think I could honestly do a 2-hour show about that whole Joe Budden versus Charlamagne thing. Because, I agree and disagree with both of them in different ways. But I think I probably weigh more heavily on the side of Joe Budden in the sense of Charlamagne, like, I saw today, like, he's going to, he's doing, like, this iHeartRadio thing. And it's just like, you're not doing a network. Like, I don't even know how to explain it to people. But, like, somebody who has lost an HBO show, lost an MTV show, doesn't need to be telling somebody else how to negotiate. You've negotiated wrong for a long time. And so I don't think that he understands, like, you have to have a threat. And that's why Charlamagne is like, that's why we saw him do the Joe Biden interview and then kind of disappear. Because you're not willing to do the stuff that keeps you in the space. And you have to be willing to, even in terms of like the whole Joe Budden thing and walking away from Spotify. What kind of happens too is nobody really understands what to do with Negroes who are not interested in just getting more money. All right. And I think that's part of what happens with us too. Like ADOS, you should have been able, I don't think people understand that they haven't been able to kind of like poach me or Antonio and offer us like some money and just like move us on, right? And go do that. You're supposed to be able to do us with that. We're supposed to be cheap. Negroes are cheap. That's what's supposed to happen. You change the game up though when you make it about values as opposed to money. Because the people that we are dealing with are not used to that. Because they don't have that. Values? What? No, we don't move like that. So you change everything up and you spin everything around when you deal with it from that perspective. I'll let you finish, fam.
The one thing I wanted to talk about and wish you could address off call was I went to that I watched that Pan-African conference Zoom. It was terrible. But one thing that she brought up was that she claimed that you and Tone are not addressing the fact that we from the part of us that want to become an actual entity was that you all don't want us to become an entity because therefore we would have to be accountable as an organization, and so since we're not an organization, then you all can hide and say, well, those are individual people, basically saying, you don't want to take accountability for the actions that chapters are doing or individual ADOS people are doing, and that's why you guys don't want to be a entity as an organization or what have you.
Thank you, fam.
That's the claim that she was making,
that's
and
fine.
I just want you to address
I'll
that.
address any claim. I ain't got no. Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. I don't have no problem. Listen, we will become something. There is some debate and some research into what we will become in terms of what we need to do, because we need to be political, and whatever entity needs to be able to allow us to be political. But let me just say this. No matter who you are, I don't care whether you work for a campaign, I don't care whether you work for Biden, whether you work for Trump or anybody. There will be people on Twitter who do things that you do not condone. Now, if you are on social media, the only thing that you can do is do what we do. Nobody else does it. Only we do it. I do it all the time. If somebody says something that's awful or that's violent or something, I put up a block alert. That's all you can do on social media, because it could be a white man over there saying some stuff. You don't know who's behind an avatar on social media. But in terms of what happens for the most part in terms of chapters, you know, the chapters have done a good job for the most part. Like, I don't know, like, what you are saying. Like, there is no way to hide or to walk away from responsibilities. Now, that's what Black Lives Matter does. Black Lives Matter show up on TV. People can say all kind of stuff in the name of Black Lives Matter, and nobody says nothing. Everybody know if you say something that's off the rails in the name of ADOS, the first person in your DM or wherever you are is me. That's just the way it is. Some of you have gotten DMs from me. Hey, what was that you said? Some of you have gotten DMs from Antonio. Hey, take that down. You know it. We know it. I can't help that Pumpkinhead don't know it. Like, that's just the way it is. And so much of this stuff that happens just isn't true. There's no way. See, that having an entity doesn't, you're still going to have people. Black Lives Matter is an entity, right? There are still people all over the internet threatening to do all kind of wild stuff in the name of Black Lives Matter. Now, I believe that they should show up and say, I don't agree with that, that's wrong, because that's leadership. But they don't. You can't control what people say, but you can control what you as an individual and as the leader, as part of the leadership, in terms of you have to have leadership, people that set the tone. We're not helicopter leaders coming in and telling you what to do, but we do hope that we set the tone and we say, hey, we don't think this is acceptable. We always do that. We always say, no, we're not going to do that. And you all remember we had several fights back in the day around the time we broke from the other clone organization. We had a whole lot of back and forth and beefs and stuff like that. Now, I can't come and plop you over the head, but we do talk about what we feel is acceptable. And we have had other leadership, you know, build up itself through chapters. We have a lot of chapter leadership. So we're at a place where it's not just Yvette and Antonio anymore. We have other leaders too in the field doing stuff. And they too set a tone for their people and their chapters about what is acceptable. And I think we're on the same page. There is no abdication of leadership. There are a bunch of different tiers. Now, we're not going to come in and grab a check and tell you what to say and tell you how to feel and tell you what to do. But when somebody does something that is damaging to what we feel our mission is, we always show up. Never been a time we didn't show up. But the other thing is, we are a pretty disciplined group of people. Anybody can have an avatar. Anybody can set up an avatar. You can be a race and set up an avatar and say, I'm ADOS. And I hate everybody. And people say, oh my God, that's an ADOS person that hate everybody. Who set up that? That's probably the child jam that set up that account and said that stuff. But the long story short, there will be an entity, but you have to be very careful about what kind of entity you set up. So you don't get yourself in a whole lot of trouble and set up and slide off into some boo-boo. You understand? Anyway, let's go to the next call, fam. We are going now to going to 850. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Thank you for taking my call, Sister Yvette. I'm from Kazon in Pensacola, Florida. Putting most of my energy, though, in the Alabama chapter. I lived in Alabama. Matter of fact, my children, my mother is buried in the same town that John Lewis was born in, Troy, Alabama. I have a cousin that was married to his niece. I know his brother and the niece and a bunch of the family members also well. I just wanted to throw that in there.
I want to go back to your down ballot.
Okay.
I think that for the kids and stuff, or I shouldn't call them that. Sorry, let me straighten that up. For the ones in the back, I think one day maybe you should take a little sheet of paper, maybe take an old ballot, throw it up on your little thing where you can maybe get it up there and literally show them what you mean by going down ballot. I understand most of the callers that have called in understand, but I know most of the conversations that I be having on my Facebook, a lot of times they don't. So I did. I just went and grabbed the old ballot and was, showing them what we mean by going down ballot. And still on the subject of down ballot, you treat it almost like going grocery shopping. You don't put your milk and your ice cream in the cart first. You grab your cold items last. So I transfer that over to what you're trying to do when you're going in there to cast your vote. You have your local situations. You have your state situations. You may believe in something or not believe in something. As far as the presidential part of it, I think everybody's clear on who's running. At the top of these, tickets, Kamala and Biden and Trump and Pence. So I think they got that part and whatnot. And I think we got the message from based off of what Joe and Kamala have said out their mouth. You're right. As we say in the South, we ain't really studying what Trump and Pence talking about because, we already don't be, we're not dedicated. We're not in this relationship with the Republican Party as of today. We are mostly in our relationship with the Democratic Party. So yeah, I think they definitely should maybe draw it out for them a little bit. What you mean by going down ballot? You go down that bad boy, and I love the way you said it on one of your shows. You see something you like, you exercise your right. You see something you don't like. You go around and go past that. And last but not least, you all are absolutely correct on each state, which I teach my children, they're really countries. It's like almost like Africa. Africa is not one solid thing. It's a continent with a bunch of countries in it. Well, so is America. We call them states, but they're really countries. They have their own constitution, their own flag, so on and so forth, and whatnot. But definitely go in and check to see what exactly you can and cannot do so that we'll be on point there. And other than that, I'll just go back to what I said at the very beginning. Definitely go, maybe if you get a chance one day on one of your shows, maybe just a quick little 2 or 3 minutes, you can make a nice little ballot thing and just go down ballot for them
maybe
and
as we
show
get
them
closer.
what you mean.
Yeah, maybe as we get closer to the election, because people forget, Negroes will forget. I know she said something, so maybe as we get close to the election, we can do that. Like this is down ballot, people, and people order your ballots from your election office. Go ahead and get that now, get that requested while I'm thinking about it. But yeah, you're right. Maybe we do that and show people exactly what we're talking about. Because people,
and that's all I wanted to throw in on this show, Sister Yvette. You've been precious with your time as always.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate the call.
Thank you.
See, if you do it too early, people get confused. She did a show. Which show was it? I don't remember. Anyway, so that might end up being kind of actually a quick hit or something like that. I'm going to the next call. I am going to 917. 917. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yvette to the call now. What is good?
What's going on with you?
I'm good. I know. I remember one show back in the day when you was an Iron Man. You was like you scared. Just scared to say your name. Just say you Kunta. So this is Kunta from Brooklyn.
We know who you is. You got too much evidence in the past. No.
So it's like, I'm gonna try not to be long, but I haven't talked to you in so long that I need to first and foremost just thank you for your tireless advocacy for us and how you represented on that United Shades of America. Like you did your thing. You made me so proud. And when I was able to just share with other people to show them what advocacy looks like. When you don't flinch, you don't budge, you stand up and straighten up.
Got to.
And you say ADOS loudly and proudly, so I wanted to make sure I give you your flowers while you can still smell them.
Appreciate it, fam.
No problem. And I also wanted to give a shout out because you also did your thing on the ADOS, the Pastor Town Hall. And I wanted to just shout out Minister Coachman and Sister Kim, 2 women from the ADOS NYC that helped put that together and be instrumental. in getting that coalition for churches together. So I wanted to make sure I gave them some love too.
Okay, that was good. Yeah, that was good. I put it up on my. It's on my Facebook. I think if somebody y'all didn't see it from like a week ago or something.
Go ahead. What you
No,
saying?
I was just saying it was on my Facebook from like I can't remember when the date was, but I posted it on Facebook if people didn't get to see it. That's all, fam.
Right. No, again, the way you got where you and Tone got Dr. Pan African is all the way together after he was saying some sideways stuff. I just loved it, and I can't say enough about the way you and Tone advocate because a wise person said the most dangerous person to the establishment in negotiation is the person that doesn't want anything but the objective. And so, because y'all can't be bought off, the advocacy is so scary, and that leads me to this. I don't even know what we could call it. It was a Zoom or the house party. I don't know what it was. This thing with like you said, Pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
But,
don't say that. Don't say that about them. That's an insult. No, ain't that what people do?
She might get me for online violence.
Ain't that something that get people? You say something and then somebody else said, you say, don't say. You just said it. So go on, fam. I'm just playing with you.
Right, and just to shout out another sister in ADOS doing her thing. Afro Bookworm did a really good blog post. The first time this presentation came up in January, in which she went point for point as an ADOS ally and just debunked a lot of what she was saying anyway in that little town hall she did.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, she is affiliated. I'm pretty sure some people know this, but I don't know if everybody knows it. But she's affiliated with that Institute of Black World for the 21st century, and that's tied to Ron Daniels, who is also, and that organization gets to appoint, as the bill is written currently, 3 people to the New York Reparations Commission. So they have an invested interest in slandering ADOS and trying to discredit our advocacy for reparations, because as it consists now on Bill A3080A in New York, that organization, along with NCOBRA and December 12th movement, they get to appoint 3 people apiece to the New York State Reparations Commission. Obviously, we are on that to make sure we get that changed, but I just wanted to put that out to let them know that there is a reason that they're running scared from ADOS, and they're doing everything in their power to discredit what we're doing by showing, bot accounts or accounts like you said that she could have made it with three followers, and none of them are ADOS followers, and she'll say that is us, doing voter suppression. But then when one of the callers asked her, well, what about people from the diaspora that slander ADOS? She said, well, that's just a one-off because there's not an organization that is doing that. But then she said ADOS is an organization, so how can you hold individual accounts that say they're ADOS accountable for the violence? You're not going to hold the diaspora court accountable for the violence as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it don't make no sense. And I it's funny for somebody like her to ask about accountability, right? Because from what I remember, she preemptively blocked me, right? So somebody said they're just weird person talking trash, and I said, let me go see who it is, and I was already blocked. So it's kind of like you didn't even open yourself up to engagement from the people that you're criticizing, for the most part. Like if I don't remember the child well because she's inconsequential. But from what I remember, I don't remember much about it because even from when it happened, I was like, who is this weird person just saying stuff? And so I still feel that way because I know that's the truth. But I don't remember her, like she never decided to engage me. She just decided I'm going to block this person and slander her and slander Tone and slander their group. Like and all the people who are fighting for reparations, that's going to be my mission. And so but like you say, like if we're not a group, how do you say, well, that's just a one-off? Well, no, this is a one-off too, because one of the things that happens if you follow ADOS online is that we are consistent. We are an overwhelmingly consistent group in terms of what we say, how we say it, the data that we use, how we are consistent. We are the most consistent group that I've seen online. Like in terms of how disciplined we are, in terms of how we use rhetoric to debate people. So I don't even know what people are talking about. But I don't even think it's going to matter, because I don't think the people who are talking matter in any kind of real way. I just think we have to push back against Cobra and all of those who are trying to just get their money and get their bags and ride off into the sunset with $200,000 a year salaries. I think that's what we have to push back against. But it's just that whole thing. I didn't watch it because I'm not interested. But people sent me screenshots, and it was just the weirdest thing. Like, it was just so odd. But I'll let you finish, fam.
Yeah, I got only two things to finish with. And just to directly respond to what you just said. Yeah, it was a whole bunch of taking you and Tone out of context. And like I said, a lot of posting accounts with like three followers saying, look, this is what ADOS believe, while making excuses for the rest of the diaspora that do the same thing but have like thousands of followers and be saying shady stuff about us, as well as, we don't have a culture and all that other stuff. But she just looked past all that just to continue to disparage ADOS. So one other thing I wanted to say, like I said, this is a long time ago, maybe like 3 weeks, maybe a month ago, we did an event alongside ADOS NYC, and one of the women in the chapter, her name is Frida. She did an event for boomers, in Harlem, and I just want to give some love to the boomers, because the event was amazing. There was not a boomer in the house that was like the boomers that we talk about, or we tease, or get on, that don't advocate for us. I mean, these were some boomers that were down for the struggle, down for the cause, and it was just an amazing event. But in that event, and this kind of goes to the last thing I want to say before I hang up, and this just goes to encouragement. One of the sisters there, she was older, and from up top, I was just saying and reiterating that, man, listen, ADOS, the pride that this movement has restored to our people and is restoring to our people is second to none. It's priceless. And I was telling her that, we are coming to realize on what I call, we're the greatest story never fully told. Ooh. And ADOS is getting to fully tell it. Yeah. And the sister was almost in tears, and at the end she thanked me, and because I got a chance to do the data, so I did my best tone impression I could do. And she was saying she never saw it contextualized like this. And she said she remembers as a little girl, she moved from the South to Harlem, where she still now lives, just to join the Black Panthers. And so she was just commending this movement on what it's doing and how it's embodying everything that she thought the Black Panther movement would be when she moved to do it. And so I just want everybody to understand the power that this movement has to just reinvigorate and breathe that life back into our lineage. Because for so long, it's been, we've been ashamed. We've been told that it's a bad thing to come from slavery. Even now, people will say, why you got to attach it to slavery as if that's not the most impactful thing that ever happened to our lineage in our life. And a friend of mine, proudly, after I put her on to you, and sometimes she's in the chat, sometimes she listens, and she came to me and she was like, I just want to thank you. This is the first time I'm able to share this picture with anybody else. Proudly, I had it, and I never really showed it to anybody because, she's an AKA, so she's, part of the boule, but not really. And she was saying most of her sorors don't understand, but it was a picture of her great-great-grandfather who was a sharecropper. Wow. And she was ashamed of that picture. And she showed it to me with pride, saying that thank you for allowing me or giving me a space to show this and feel good about our lineage. And I can only just give that back to you, give that back to Tone, and to all the rest of us that are on the line in the chat and are going to watch this on a replay. Don't get, if you're spiritual, they call it don't get weary in well doing. Do the work. Just don't be ashamed to just drop a seed. Sometimes that's all you're gonna be able to do is drop the seed. You're not gonna get it. But one of us is gonna come around on the back end. And when they hear it for the second time, the saints call that confirmation. And when they hear that, that might be when they get it. Because most of us in the chat didn't get it the first time. It didn't feel good to our ears when we heard you saying Pan-Africanism is dead. But as we understood and kept learning and got the data and dealt with the data before the data dealt with us, it made sense, and now we're here and we're advocating. And so the last thing I want to say before I hang up is I want us all to not, sometimes we kind of overestimate what we should do in the short term and underestimate what we will do in the long term. So I just want us to stay focused, stay on point. We're all doing the work. We are a good network and encouraging for each other. I love all y'all. Let's keep doing the work.
Thank you, fam. That was a great call, fam. Much appreciated, much appreciated, much appreciated. Yeah, I think there's gonna come a time, I swear, where we just need to just slam like any picture we have of a sharecropper or something, and just like because that's part of the problem of not being able to see yourself. You have to be able to see yourself. You have to be able to see who you are and understand the power of the reflection that is reflected back to you. Ugly people sometimes don't like mirrors, and some of us think of ourselves as ugly because of our past, and we don't see the beauty in that. The woman who called in last week and talked about, listen, what other group has been come from slavery and generationally oppressed for 400 years? That should make you feel ashamed. That should make you feel like, wow, this is really like a warrior group. Like, that's who we are. I don't know how we took that and packed shame into it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm gonna go to my last call. I'm gonna go to 770. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello.
Hey, 770. What's going on?
Hello.
I'm here. How you doing?
Oh, hey, Yvette. I am calling you, and I'm so happy. I'm a little excited.
Okay.
Excuse me, because I got a cold. Now, I wanted to talk about the intersection of the data that, let me catch my breath.
Okay, take your time.
The intersection of the data that you all go over in many of the things that Tony yourself talk about. Where we get lost sometimes is the fact that with the immigrants that have come to this country, they live in intergenerational households.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why so many of them are able to get ahead in this country is because they live in an intergenerational household where you have 2, 3, and 4 adults that are working who are all fully employed. And with them all being fully employed, they have more income and more resources to draw from.
Mm-hmm.
And with them having more income and resources to draw from, we get further left behind because we're paying more money for daycare. We're paying more money to actually survive on one income instead of surviving on 3, 4, 5, or 6 incomes at one time. Excuse me. Oftentimes what you're seeing in the Caribbean is, and you kind of alluded to this, is that you have white working class immigrants in Miami who are Latino. Then when you look at the immigrants that are in, say, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, or Texas, they are blue-collar workers. And because they are blue-collar workers, you have a classism that's going on between the Hispanic voters. They don't want the Central Americans coming here because the Central Americans are a much lower income group than the ones in Texas, Nevada, and Las Vegas who also want to be in the unions versus the ones from the Caribbean like Cuba, Puerto Rico, who have a preferred status when it comes to being able to come into the United States. So that's a part of the intersection that is going on that's not necessarily being looked at when you all are going over the data. Then you also have to keep in mind that when it comes to us as black people, what is not being talked about is the fact that black, we talk about, the destruction of the black family, the destruction of the black family. However, many black men don't get married because they are not fully employed.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to get married if they're not able to take care of their family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily that women want to be by themselves. It's just the fact that the men aren't fully employed.
Well, I'll say this too.
Go ahead.
And there was also a study that showed that even black men the majority of black men who aren't married to the child's mother are still in the child's life. So it's kind of, even that way they kind of misrepresent it. They say, they're not married as if like there are a lot of couples who are living together, right, and who are not married. And people don't even think of it this way. Even in terms of credit, when you're poor, you have a predisposition to have not good credit. When you marry, you kind of inherit the other person's credit in a way, right? Just by the sake by how y'all do that. A lot of times what happens is people need to have separate credits because that's kind of like a survival mechanism. If my credit don't go through, we're going to try yours. And it becomes a little bit more difficult sometimes when you get married to do that. So there are all kind of like poverty built in kind of structures and things that happen that people who don't have access to that or who have never lived that, who don't know anybody who is living that, don't take into account. But I'll let you finish up, Pam. I'm sorry.
And that's exactly my point when I was saying, when I originally began talking about the multi-generational households. Because when you have a multi-generational household, what's actually being shown right now with the COVID-19 is that you have many people that, because they have an intergenerational household, they have child care built in. You know, if you don't have the child care built in, you are paying an arm and a leg for child care. Child care can keep you into poverty even if both parents are fully employed. That can absolutely keep you in a state of not having the things that you need to have. Then in addition to that, when you are in a situation, as I said, where because you're not in a multi-generational household, you don't have any additional support where family or friends would be able to help you in a situation like you just said with your credit. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm a parent of 3 grown sons. I make a point to make sure that my children, whatever their mama got, they can get it too. If I got certain insurance, I got this policy. Let me make sure I put you on this policy so that if this is going to help you get a better credit rating, you get a better credit rating. I got a credit card. Okay, it's my credit card. However, I'm going to make you a person that can use the card. So when I pay my bill, your credit score goes up because your mama pays her bill. And everybody know your mama pay her bills. Absolutely. You see what I mean? So there are ways that you can help your family.
But you know one of the problems with stuff, and it's not with what you just said, right? You were just talking about households with multiple generations. Now I don't want to do too much of that because if you go too far into that, it's third world living. But I will say this though, you're right in this aspect, right? In the sense of let's say somebody I saw a study today or yesterday said like 50% of millennials have moved back home with their parents, right? Just because of COVID and jobs missing, all that stuff. So we're gonna have a lot of multi-generational homes pretty soon. Our community seems to me the only community that judges people for making rational decisions. In the sense
but you know what? Part of what has happened is that we have fallen for this daggone fantasy that became created through television and the creation of white flight into the suburbs. Because when white people started making the money that they were making, and what I've seen, and this is what I've seen throughout my entire life, white women will get fully employed. Their husbands make sure, yes, she has to be fully employed. She's not, not just a little part-time worker, a fully employed worker. And so they put that money together. And by them putting their money together, now you're living off 2 incomes instead of living off the 1 income that you used to live off of. We are saying, okay, well, let's chase their dream too of they wanted to do white flight and move out of the city, move away from black people. So we're going to the suburbs. Okay, well, now you're out here in the suburbs, but these are 2 people that are fully employed with careers. And in the meantime, you have a job, your wife has a part-time job or, inadequate income, and you're still trying to recreate the life that these people have set up for themselves. So the life that they are living is not necessarily the life you need to live for yourself. And I'm adamant about making sure that my kids understand you have to live the life that works for you. Not the life that television tells you you got to have 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, blah, blah, blah. That might not be the life that you need. You might need a condo. You might need to be sharing a trailer. You might need to, I don't know, live in the country. You have to live the life that's going to work best for you.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly. But you know what you need in order to do what you just said, right? You have to be immune from social judgment. That's what you have to tell people to do. You have to be immune from social judgment. What somebody else thinks and feels about whatever you're doing in your life, that is usually a rational decision, is it doesn't matter. Somebody else will be not paying their bills and running from creditors and telling you it's wrong for you to have moved in with your grandfather or whoever, or mama and daddy, or whoever you moved in with. And it's just like, no, I'm doing the responsible and rational thing. You running from the bill man and ruining your credit. These things make no sense. So I kind of, and let me just say this one other thing. What reparations would give us is the ability to be whole and like be American. That's fully American, but that's a political project that not enough of us have engaged in. But when we're not there, if you're going to do it, you're exactly right. You have to do the life that fits you. You have to build your own life, and you can't do that unless you decide that what the next man or woman says about you don't mean nothing. You have to get that through your head. I'll let you finish, Pam.
Well, and I agree with you on that. And my last thing is that we're seeing how, with Ronald Reagan in particular, the destruction of the unions has left the country in a situation whereby all of us are going down, to hell in a handbasket, because we don't have the protections that we once had at one time. True. Because he was able with Edwin Meese to find loopholes to make it so that black people were underpaid and not able to get the full monies that certain jobs would allow them, because they did not want us to get ahead. I agree. Yep. That's going to be the last thing I say.
No, thank you,
I know
Carla.
Other people need to talk to.
Thank you, Carla. I appreciate it. No problem. I appreciate it. I absolutely appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
No, that was a great call, because I think regardless of what happens, like one of the things that happens is that's why reparations is essential. Reparations is essential because we've done too much and contributed too much in this country to have to live like new poor immigrants, right? That's what is needed. We're not there yet. So what you have to do in this moment is what you have to do in this moment. Right? And you can't let any kind of social judgment cloud what you need to do in this moment to have peace of life and quality of life. You can't care about what the next man or woman is doing. And you also need a woman like that, her mother like that, who cares about you and is willing to put your stuff on her stuff to kind of build what you have to have. But I don't think people understand how non-independent they are, right? In terms of, everybody says, no, I think for myself. But then when I look at people, sometimes you're acting just like somebody else. So you have to be willing to say, listen, I'm fighting for reparations for ADOS. I have seen 50% or something like that of millennials move back home. These are the majority of which, because of the way the country's built, these are white people too. Right? So who are you to say what I need to do to make sure that I am whole and successful in this trying time? And I think we have to get beyond. It's amazing to me for a bottom caste group to poverty shame. I ain't never seen nothing like it. Like, we should be the most collective, on the side of each other, joyous with each other, loving each other group that you'd ever seen. I ain't never seen nothing like this kind of weird stuff that some of us put on. But anyway, fam, I'll end it right there. If we did not get to you, please enjoy your evening. We will get to you next time. I thank everybody for coming through, showing up, and showing out. Be easy breezy. Do not forget the 24th. This will be the book that we will be reading, Cast: The Origins of Our Discontent, Isabel Wilkerson. That will be the book club, September 24th. That is this month. So if you have not gotten it, and try to support your, I saw somebody says, you don't have any books by the local black book. So this one should be there. If you're, supporting local black bookstores. I think that one is probably one of them that's probably on the reading list that should be there. So check that out. Also, please hit that like button, fam. Please share. Make sure you go to if you want to donate, you go to donatebrown.com. Patreon.com/ycarnell. But free. You can hit that bell. You can hit that subscribe button. You can hit that like button if you are here. Those are all free ways to support the channel, and I appreciate it. Understand that it's a pandemic, all kind of stuff going on, so those are free ways that you can do that and hit those things and help the channel out, and I appreciate all of it. Fam, be easy breezy until next time. Take care of yourself. Still wear a mask when you go outside. COVID-19 ain't going nowhere, and you don't know how it's gonna hit you when it hits you. That's the thing. You don't know whether you're gonna be asymptomatic or whether your lungs gonna fill up with some fluid. So just be safe. And I have seen a lot more safe people. Some of y'all really don't understand that if you're gonna just wear the whole mask the whole time you're out under your chin, I don't know what the point of the thing is. But just do the best you can to take care of yourself and take care of your family. People will miss you if you sick or gone, or you got to be laid up, or you coughing. Even if you just go through it and you end up fine, that's fine. But who even wants to have anything? I don't want to have nothing. I don't want to be laid up coughing or nothing. So just do the best you can to protect yourself, because a lot of these people love to see us gone. So just do the best you can to protect yourself, family. Finish your libations, and I will see you next time.